Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. The volume is little high. Little high. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Okay. I welcome everybody for the Bhakti Sastri class. My apologies that we had a break last week, but we'll just continue. So before we start, let's offer our Mangalacharan prayers, and then we can start. For those who are not familiar, it's there on page 1, an introduction. I also wish to welcome all those who have joined us today online. We extend a warm welcome by saying Hari Bol. Okay, let's start with the Mangalacharan prayers, then we can go ahead. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Matsamo nasti papatma naparadi chakaschana parihare pilajjame kimbruve purushottama bhumau skalitapadanam bhumireva valambanam tvai jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabho. So today we will be discussing the chapter 12. Hare Krishna. So the chapter 11 was the universal form, and towards the end of chapter 11, Krishna says the verse in the 54 or 55. He says, Mat karma krin, mat paramo, mat sangha vivarjita. No. Pardon? Mad bhakta sangha varjitaha nirvairair sarvabhiteshu yahasa mameti pandavaha. So he says that work for me and mat karma krin, mat paramo, think me as the supreme. Mat sangha, mat bhakta. So become mat bhakta, right? So become my devotee. So in the 12th chapter, we get more details on what Krishna is wanting, and also we get more details on what sort of nature is the Supreme Lord expecting from his devotees, or what are the nature of those who are very dear to him. I request that because of the lack of time, the questions we can just hold back. If you have some questions, you can write it down. Maybe towards the end that we can take some questions. And at the end also we will take few votes in terms of the classes. And so we don't have to worry about rushing through, at least from the Sunday speaker perspective. I'm sure he won't be angry if we just keep on talking about Bhakti Sastri. All right. Chapter 12, kindly repeat after me. Mataji, Simantini Mataji, you can start the translation and then pass it. Arjuna Vacha Evam Satata Yuktaye Bhaktastvam Paryupasate Echapyaksharam Avyaktam Tesham ke yoga vittamaha.
Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested?
Thank you. Text 2. Please repeat. Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Maya Veshamano Yemam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Teme Yuktatamamataha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect.
So, if we turn to page 542, in the second paragraph, everybody there, beginning with in the second chapter, page 542, it's in the first purport. We are going back to the first purport, or the purport of the first verse, and then on page 542, it is the paragraph beginning with in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Everybody there? In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord explained that a living entity is not the material body, he is a spiritual spark, and the absolute truth is the spiritual whole. In the 7th chapter, he spoke of the living entity as being part and parcel of the Supreme Whole and recommended that he transfer his attention fully to the whole. Then again in the 8th chapter, it was said that anyone who thinks of Krishna at the time of quitting his body is at once transferred to the spiritual sky, to the abode of Krishna. And at the end of the 6th chapter, the Lord clearly said that of all yogis, one who always thinks of Krishna within himself is considered the most perfect. So practically in every chapter, the conclusion has been that one should be attached to personal form of Krishna, for that is the highest spiritual realization. Now, that Bhagavad Gita explains devotion to Krishna in every chapter. In fact, it is mentioned at every verse. So Srila Prabhupada highlights that fact. But devotion to Krishna means, who am I devoted to? Now, in 11th chapter, Arjuna has seen the Virat Roop. Did he see only the Virat Roop of Krishna? Did he see also the personal form of Krishna? Did he see, in the personal form, did he see the four-handed or the two-handed? Thank you. Yeah, he saw both. So then Arjuna is a little confused that who should I worship? You manifested your Virat Roop, which has no beginning, no end. It is the supreme effulgence. It is mentioned that if millions of moons were, millions of suns were arisen at once, even that effulgence of that millions of suns, one sun itself is pretty much, we are experiencing the power of one sun these days. The temperature is soaring at about 100 or so. People are getting roasted. Now imagine, millions of suns coming together at the same time. That will be some effulgence. But that effulgence also, Vyasadeva, it's mentioned, is comparable. I mean, like you can't even compare how effulgent was Krishna when he manifested his universal form. Something like that. Millions of suns is just like a mere comparison. So, Arjuna is confused. Oh. Thank you. So Arjuna was confused. Should I worship this impersonal form or should I worship personal form? Which is better? And then when he asks that question in the first verse, what is the answer given by Krishna in the second verse? Those who fix their mind on my personal form. So we get more details on why. And we get, as Krishna talks about worshipping or the benefit of worshipping his personal form, we get more details on why Krishna is insisting that. Text 3 and 4. Etvaksharam anirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatragam achintyam cha Kutastam achalam dhruvam sanniyam yendriyagramam sarvatra samabuddhayah te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhutahite rataha.
But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me.
So here, when do they achieve? Finally. So the path of impersonal realization, it is it's not unauthorized. It is pretty much bona fide. Krishna says you can, but it's a very troublesome path. It's a long, arduous process. It's not a straightforward process. And especially Krishna says for those who are having a body, it's easy to relate with somebody who has a body. I mean, so if you have to relate to government, for example, to get some work done by government, you still have to deal with somebody personal, though the government itself is so impersonal, spread all over. But still you need to deal with a person. So it's easier to deal with a person. In fact, nowadays it's becoming a little impersonal because of the technology. It's really, really impersonal. But nevertheless, it's easy to deal as in a person. It's like the companies these days are advertising, we'll have live persons to talk to. You have no more internet to deal with. So that's becoming a selling point. unfortunately. But he says that those who fix their minds, at last they achieve me. Text 5. Kleshodhikarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbir avapyate.
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied.
Thank you. Can I get a shloka book, please? It's a beautiful, beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here the Archa Vigraha, or the incarnation, is mentioned here. Thank you, Prabhu. Can we start reading from the paragraph or the page 545, the last line? I don't know, worship of the deity. Page 545, the last line, worship of the deity in the temple. That will be to the purport of text 5. Everybody there? Okay. Last line. For those who are online, we are reading almost the last, almost like third or fourth line from the bottom of the first paragraph of the purport. Worship of the deity in the temple is saguna worship, for the Lord is represented by material qualities. But the form of the Lord, though represented by material qualities such as stone, wood, or oil paint, is not actually material. That is the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. The question one might ask is this. Krishna, you should worship the personal form of the Lord. That is clear. What are you worshipping in the temple? This is the deity. Now they say the deity is made of stone. Now, pretty much the whole matter is made of matter. Deity is made of matter, the floor is made of matter, the walls are made of matter. So what is the difference in worshipping the personal form of the Lord on the altar versus taking the same arti plate and offering it to this deity? It's the same matter. You are saying personal form or personal worship of the Lord, but actually you are worshipping impersonal because you are worshipping matter which is spread everywhere. Am I being very illogical? Somebody might question like that. Yes or yes? What's your point? What's your point of worshipping the deity form of the Lord? So, to answer that specific question, saying that we are not impersonal, because we have to be very clear, we are not worshipping the impersonal form of the Lord, but worshipping the personal form of the Lord, though He is the deity in the temple, and we'll continue with that rest of the paragraph there. A crude example may be given here. We may find some mailboxes on the street, and if we post our letters in those boxes, they will naturally go to their destination without difficulty. But any old box or an imitation which we may find somewhere, but which is not authorized by the post office, will not do the work. Similarly, God has an authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent, all-powerful. Therefore, by His incarnation as Archa Vigraha, He can accept the services of the devotees just to make it convenient for the man in conditioned life. So the point here is that the same Lord has accepted a material form or so-called material form so that we can serve that supreme deity. We cannot see the Lord in His pure spiritual form because we are not yet there. So on one hand, Krishna is asking us to worship in a personal form. On the other hand, for the conditioned soul, He is not visible. So Krishna is actually making it impossible for him to worship in his personal form. Therefore, his instructions are impractical. Yes or yes? Say no. I was just testing. No. Because if Krishna is saying, worship my personal form, and my pure spiritual form is not visible, then I'll come in Archa form so that you can accept the same service. And for those who are actually advanced in spiritual life, they see no difference between Madan Mohan, who's standing there, and the absolute truth. He is actually an absolute truth, but just not reciprocating according to our ordinary conditioned estimation. But for the really advanced, then yes, Krishna can talk. And there are plenty of stories there in Chaitanya Charitamrita that how Krishna can actually reciprocate with those who have faith. But with those who don't have faith, he is just like a statue, just like a person who's just quiet and who's a stone or whatever. And that's why people have this great difficulty. Especially in the modern life, it is become one of the contentious point between different religions. Muslims, for example, don't believe in the idol worship. So do Christians. They think that you are just worshipping something really, so you're very crude, and they use so many words. But the fact of the matter is Krishna can manifest. Another reason we should say is if God is all powerful, why can't he manifest in the deity form? Is there anything wrong? I mean, one example. The President of the United States, is he powerful or not? Pretty powerful person. Can he or can he not go into a prison to see the prisoners? And then, if the prisoner, say, gives a letter of petition, can he or can he not accept? Or, other option, if he sends his own representative or personal envoy, can he not accept the same on behalf of the President? So why are we limiting God from appearing in a murti form? Oh, God cannot come. Why? So he's powerless? Or he is so afraid of his own Maya that he can't come. Oh, no, I can't accept Archa form because I'll become contaminated by Maya. What is your logic? Where is your logic? Krishna is so powerful that Maya is always subordinate. When we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that Maya is standing at a distance, ashamed of her position, but nevertheless that is her position, to be able to the souls. So, Krishna can definitely accept an Archa form, he can accept the services. It is just our own faith that becomes stronger, then Krishna will reveal. So, this is a very esoteric point here when it comes to personal versus impersonal, and how worshipping the deity in the temple is not impersonal worship, it's a very personal worship. That's the reason. The other thing is, imagine if you have to, you go to the temple, and then, there is a big blanket that is just covering something, just hanging from the air. What are you doing? Well, I'm worshipping the impersonal form. I'm clothing the impersonal form. It becomes little, difficult to relate from the conditioned perspective. Part of the bhakti yoga is to approach Krishna directly as a person. Yes or yes? So we read from Bhagavad Gita in the previous semester, Jnana Yoga gives the realization of Brahman. And Dhyana, Paramatma. But only Bhakti gives the realization of Bhagavan. The chapter title today, what we are reading is? So it means that Krishna is expecting that, you come to me personally rather than in an impersonal thing. Make sense? Any questions? No questions, no. Wait. We will take questions later. The questions have tripped up our schedule, so we'll just be on track. Texts 6 and 7. Kindly repeat after me. Ye tu sarvani karmani Mayi sanyasya matparaha Ananyenaiva yogena Mam dhyayanta upasate Tesham aham samudharta Mrityu samsara sagarat Bhavami nachirat partha Maya Veshita Chetasam.
But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pradha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death.
So when we do all these things, Krishna will take millions of years and come and pick us from birth and death. Krishna says, swift, fast. Bhakti Yoga is pretty fast. So, the topic of today's Sunday Feast lecture is around that particular theme. It's reasonably fast. In the modern world where we expect everything really quick, like now, especially with the advent of smartphones and everything, you send a text and people are checking every time, where is it, where is it, where is it? In fact, His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj was giving a talk in London, and he was saying that it is now an established fact that there are internet de-addiction centers in India, which are actually helping people to be de-addicted from internet. It's become an addiction. Officially, it has been certified as an addiction. Like Alcoholics Anonymous, those are all like, so 1960s, what are you talking? People are going to the doctor saying that they involuntarily move their hands like this. They can't like stop it. It's become that bad. But so the modern advent of all these things making it very swift. So if you expect that swiftness from Krishna, then you better, really do some serious bhakti yoga. Otherwise, Krishna will take his own sweet time, trust me. He is not bound by any protocols, internet or otherwise. All right. Beautiful purport. Please read. All these are pretty nice purports. Well, one thing, very heartening thing, very short paragraph, we will just read. On page 549, simply by chanting. Everybody there? Yep, okay. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily, but this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. If somebody asks you, what is this Hare Krishna movement all about, quote him this paragraph, please. That is done. That's all. Is the sum and substance of what we do. And what is the result of what we do. Of course, we are not yet there, chanting 24/7, so we do have Krishna as some alternative, plan B and plan C for us in place. Yeah. Text 8. Mayeva manadhastva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivashisyasi mayeva atha urdvam na samshayah.
Just fix our mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt.
There is a typo, it's your. Pardon? That's fixed in that particular thing? In the newer editions, it's your or our? Your. Yeah. Okay. In the older, it's our, so that's why, okay, no problem. This is the highest perfection in Krishna consciousness. Krishna says, this is the highest thing that you can do for me. Always constantly fix your mind, fix your intelligence, and live within Krishna. Live within Krishna means always absorb in thoughts of Him, to the point that the gopis of Vrindavan are exemplars of this particular verse. 24/7 they were absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. There was no other business for them. Though they would be doing all their activities, whatever they needed to do, but their whole mind and intelligence was seeped in Krishna. How to make Krishna happy. Even when they decorated themselves, their only thought was that Krishna likes to see me decorated, and that gives him happiness, so let me decorate. Or Krishna likes this food stuff, let me decorate. Tomorrow is Srimati Radharani's appearance day, and just few words. Of course, Vaisheshika Prabhu will talk extensively, but Radharani once served Durvasa, and then Durvasa was so pleased. Durvasa Muni is a very fickle personality, extremely fickle personality. He is all over the place. He is in Mahabharata. He is in so many other places. He is in Bhagavatam, of course, the famous story of. Yes. So he is a very fickle personality. He is very, very easily pleased, and he will give benedictions. Same time, he is very easily angered, and he will curse you when he is angry. So, Duryodhana unfortunately took advantage of that weakness. And as we know the story of how Durvasa came once to Hastinapur, the Pandavas were living in exile. And you know the story, but I'll just elaborate it to make it a little more spicier. Duryodhana by nature was very proud, a very arrogant person. But he needed to make use. But he knew one art he had was, if he needed something from somebody, he would become so humble. So it's natural trait. So Durvasa came to Hastinapur. He served him. And Durvasa was not an easy guest to serve. Sometimes he would say to the host, okay, I'm going to take my bath and my prayers. I'll come back and I'll eat. Prepare foodstuffs for me. And usually he is not alone. He usually travels with few thousand disciples. In this case, it was 10,000 disciples. And then he would take bath, and then he would come back and he would say, I'm not hungry. He would wake up in the middle of night and say, hey, I want to eat. Prepare something. He was not an easy guest to please. High maintenance guest. So, but the Duryodhana pleased him. He was like tolerated somehow. Like he somehow tolerated him. And then he didn't say anything, he didn't complain. And then Durvasa, he was leaving, he said, I'm so happy with you, Duryodhana. What do you want? Now, Duryodhana has been waiting for this moment. Because the time Durvasa was there in Hastinapur, he was talking to Shakuni, Karna, and Dushasan. If he asks for a benediction, what should I ask him? Now, Duryodhana was the king of the world. He didn't need women. He didn't need anything. So they already made a plan. If he asks, what should I ask? Then Durvasa says, oh Duryodhana, my son, I bless you. You gave me good service. What do you want? He says, you just are such a wonderful personality. You came to Hastinapur. You graced us. I want the same thing to happen, that my younger cousins, the Pandavas, should also get your association. Please go to them and visit them in the forest. But the only request I ask, please go after everybody has eaten. Because he knew they had spice all over the place. The Pandavas had, right, Akshaya Patra, for those who don't know, was given by sun god, and it could produce unlimited number of quantities of food only till Draupadi did not eat. As soon as she ate, that was done for the day. So they knew that, Duryodhana knew that, he sent. And Durvasa went to the place where Pandavas were there, and Pandavas received him, and then he said, okay, we are hungry, we are going to eat, prepare. And then the Pandavas were in anxiety, because they realized if Durvasa curses them, then they are done, doomed for it. And so the Pandavas were, who came to their help? But who inspired Krishna to come? Yeah, so Pandavas actually went to their wife. What should we do? Then she said, just pray to Krishna. And then Krishna heard their prayers and came. And then the Pandavas, they explained, oh Krishna, this is what is happening. The Durvasa is kind of gone to his river with his 10,000 disciples. We have to cook for him. We can't cook. This Akshaya Patra is done. What should we do? And they were like pouring out their heart to Krishna. And Krishna said, I am hungry. Please give me something too. Huh? No. But I said, no, just I'm so hungry. Give me something to eat. Krishna, there is nothing. Are you sure there is nothing? Yeah, there is nothing. Okay, get me the Akshaya Patra. And then they get the Akshaya Patra. Somewhere in the bottom, Mahabharata writes, there is one small rice mixed with some vegetable. And then Krishna takes that thing and he eats it. And he is full, completely satisfied. And then he says, okay, call Durvasa and his disciples and tell them the lunch is ready. The Pandavas look at Krishna seriously. What is his personality? What is the Supreme Lord talking about? There is no cooking going on. There is nothing there to offer. And he is asking us to invite the sage back. But this is the beauty of Pandavas. They had unwavering faith in Krishna. They didn't like care. They said, okay, Nakula went to the river bank to call. They didn't care whether the food was there or not, or the Lord was. They just went along with Krishna, completely surrendered to Krishna. So, in the meanwhile, Durvasa and his disciples are taking bath, and suddenly they feel full. Everybody starts belching. Everybody is feeling so full. They are scared now. We told that Yudhishthira to prepare for 10,000 of us, and if he starts preparing, and if we don't eat, we are in big trouble. So they just, they have their chanting beads, they have their, second pair of cloth, their kamandalus, leave everything in the river and run. So when Nakula comes to invite them back, he doesn't see anybody, some floating pieces of cloth, some beads, some this, some sandals, everybody rushed. So Durvasa was like that. So Radharani once served Durvasa and she was pleased. And one story I just pulled off to another, and then I'm back to this original story. And then Radharani got the benediction from Durvasa that, that you prepare the food, whoever eats the food prepared by you, they will be always healthy and never fall sick. And Mother Yashoda hears this. See, here is a beauty. In Vrindavan, it is but natural that a mother is possessive, that her child eats food by her hand. Even though how much ever the mother says no, in the heart of the heart there is always that feeling. Yes or yes? Mothers only you can answer. Fathers, it's okay, even I don't know, I'm a father. But here she said no. Radharani has to come every day because my Lala should not fall sick. And I don't care if I cook or not. It's Radharani has to cook every day. Of course, it's transcendental pastime of Krishna. It was Krishna wanted to eat the food cooked by Radharani. And then Radharani wanted to naturally serve Krishna. So the beauty is that the gopis of Vrindavan, they had this one-track attention. That's absorbed completely in Krishna. In fact, Radharani, there are some pastimes where she was stopped from going for cooking for Krishna. Because, that was getting scandalous. People were talking about, oh, this Radharani, I don't know, she's going off with Krishna. And then anyway, those are all like very high esoteric pastimes. Let's not get there. But once her mother-in-law got scared with all the rumors that were floating around, and there's a big story, but let's not get into it. And then she said, Radharani, you can't go anymore to cook for Krishna. And they went back and forth. Oh, Mother Yashoda will be displeased, and we'll give some arguments, but somehow they tried to stop. And then Radharani was very morose that she couldn't cook for Krishna. She made her own tricks to come. So there are all many big stories or pastimes. But nevertheless, they are the exemplars of this highest, completely absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Everything they do is for Krishna. Their intelligence, they just think of how to please Krishna. They make so many plans how they can arrange for meeting of Radharani and Krishna. They can make so many plans how Krishna and his friends will be happy in forest, All through Vrindavan, there's only one single-minded focus, that how to please Krishna. And as we were listening after Vyas Puja, Srila Prabhupada's motto, that what is that? Everything for Krishna and nothing for me. So that is the same attitude of the Vrindavan, everything for Krishna. The whole thing is how to please Krishna, how to worship Krishna. But please do not be disappointed. It's not an easy platform to achieve. And this is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. As we go ahead, we can see how liberal Krishna is. It's not like, fix your mind on me or you're a loser. You are gone. You're a gone case. Krishna never says that. Let's see what Krishna says further. Text 9. Ata chittam samadatum na shaknoshi mai sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mam ichchaptum dhananjaya.
My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me.
Thank you. Text 10. Abhyasepya samarthosi matkarma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi.
If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage.
Thank you. Text 11. Ataitad api asaktosi kartum adyogamashritah sarvakarma phalatyagam tatah kuru yatatmavan.
If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all the results of your work and try to be self-situated.
So, after the first highest thing, which is always to absorb your mind in Krishna and fix your intelligence on Him, if that's not possible, what is the second? Follow the principles of Bhakti Yoga and then try to attain to me. Krishna says, if you cannot do even that, then what? Nope. Work for me. Work for me. And then even if you cannot do that, then what? So Krishna, Bhakti Yoga is so liberal. The beauty is that Krishna himself is not condemning those who are not able to achieve the highest standard of Bhakti Yoga. Even if you cannot follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. I mean, some people can't chant for 16 rounds or absorb in Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita to that level. Krishna says, even if you cannot do that, then work for me. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, it can mean giving money to Krishna. It can give coming to the temple, and all these ladies are making garlands. So do something for Krishna. So Krishna is so merciful. So when we are in temple, we should take care that not to judge others on what their level of advancement, so-called level of advancement is. Because if Krishna is not judgmental about who is on which level and he is giving access to everybody to attain him, then our preaching mood should be the same. Our mood of dealing with other devotees should be the same. Having said that, of course, if we have very disruptive kind of persons who are disturbing the atmosphere in the temple, then those kinds of situations should be managed by the temple authorities. But from our perspective, we should be as liberal as we can, following the footsteps of Krishna. Because the other parts of yoga, there's not so much of liberality. Krishna says in the 6th chapter, Even if you, before even you go to forest to perform the advanced stages of Ashtanga Yoga, you should be celibate, you should have control your mind. So many factors are there. Krishna doesn't give some sort of restrictions. Celibacy, okay, maybe once a month is fine. Maybe, there's no maybe there. This is just, that's it, and no more. You might say, why? Why is Krishna giving this restriction, or he's giving such relaxation on Bhakti Yoga and such strict and unflexible restrictions on other form of yoga? Please understand, in other forms of yoga, Krishna is not going to directly protect you. It's your own effort that is involved, and Krishna is strict with that. But with the Bhakti Yoga, Krishna says, I am there to take care of you. And when Krishna gives his personal protection, and when he makes sure that the devotees are given some sort of benefit of doubt in Bhakti Yoga. So Krishna gives that personal protection. That's why he says, okay, at least do this, do that. The other thing is, Krishna is being very compassionate. By being so liberal, he's being very compassionate. He says, I can't expect you to come to me like this, because, I am the highest goal to achieve. But, there are steps. So one should be so that is another reason. In the modern age, how much practical it is that you can really follow all the other paths that have been mentioned. Strictly do sacrifice, strictly read Vedas, strictly find a guru and serve him, get to the platform of knowledge, control your mind and senses, then do all these breathing exercises, then realize Paramatma, and then realize Bhagavan. So when we read Bhagavad Gita, we can understand the good fortune that we have, that we are able to do directly Bhakti Yoga. Because we have bypassed all those processes, we think that it's cheap. Oh, it's simple, easy to do. What's the big deal in there? But please understand, it's a very, very, very big deal. When we read this, then you get more information. All right, text 12. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasaj jnanadhyanam vishisyate dhyanat karma phalatyagas tyagachantiranantaram.
If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind.
Thank you. People are usually confused by what this verse means. So let's read the purport. It's a short purport. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As mentioned in the previous verses, there are two kinds of devotional service, the way of regulative principles and the way of full attachment and love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those who are actually not able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, it's better to cultivate knowledge, because by knowledge one can be able to understand his real position. Gradually, knowledge will develop to the point of meditation. By meditation, one can be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by gradual process. There are processes which make one understand that one himself is the Supreme, and that sort of meditation is preferred if one is unable to engage in devotional service. I'll read that verse because it's so important. Read that line. There are processes which make one understand that one himself is the Supreme. Do you remember of any such process that makes one feel that he is the Supreme? Impersonal, and especially Mayavad. And Srila Prabhupada is actually supporting Mayavad here. He says, and that sort of meditation is preferred if one is enabled to engage in devotional service. It's a little controversial, but the fact of the matter is that any path which helps one break from this gross sense gratification is better than just being steeped in sense gratification and just live for eating, sleeping, mating and defending. Srila Prabhupada, no spiritual path excuses that sort of life. Krishna himself says no. He says in the 3rd chapter, Evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati yaha aghayurindriya rama mogam partha sajivati. He says that, he describes the cycle of the Vedas. From rains come grains, and from grains the living entities subsist. Then where do the rains come from? From yajna. So, the living entities subsist, they perform yajna, and again you get rains. So this is a cycle that is set in motion. And Krishna says that those who don't follow this cycle of Vedas, they are set by me, and those who live for sense pleasure, they live in vain. So similarly, no spiritual path says, okay, yeah, eat, drink, be merry, that's it, life is happy for you. Any path that kind of tells like that is actually not helping at all. Okay. So let's continue with that particular purport. If one is not able to meditate in such a way, then there are prescribed duties as enjoined in the Vedic literatures for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, which we shall find in the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. But in all cases, one should give up the result or the fruits of labor. This means to employ the result of karma for some good cause. In summary, to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal, there are 2 processes. One process is by gradual development, the other process is direct. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness is direct method, and the other method involves renouncing the fruits of one's activities. Then one can come to the stage of knowledge, then to the stage of meditation, then to the stage of the understanding of the super soul, then to the stage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One may take either step-by-step process or the direct path. The direct process is not possible for everyone, therefore the indirect process is also. It is, however, to be understood that the indirect process is not recommended for Arjuna because he is already at the stage of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. It's for others who are not at this stage. For them, the gradual process of renunciation, knowledge, meditation, and realization of the Super Soul and Brahman should be followed. But as far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, it's direct method that is stressed. Everyone is advised to take the direct method and surrender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Wow. The point here is, if we are preaching, tomorrow we'll all become preachers and try to preach to others. Following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, we should understand where that particular position is and preach to that person. Taking a heavy hammer of Krishna consciousness and trying to bang on others' head won't really help in all purposes, because everybody's on a different level in spiritual advancement. And the cleverness or the intelligence of the preacher lies in knowing where they are and accordingly guiding them. So it's not like Krishna is saying it's my way or highway. He's saying, okay, this is my way, but if you can't do it, then this is the way it is, this is the way, this is the way. So all the paths have their own benefits. It's not like they are completely void, useless, they are to be thrown out. Krishna himself or Srila Prabhupada himself doesn't support that. But that there is a direct path. That doesn't mean there is no discrimination either. Then that doesn't mean, okay, everything is the same, let me become a Mayavad. Same, it's better. No, we are already on that path, we should follow the path, but when we preach to others, then we should discriminate. We should use our intelligence and compassion. Because Bhakti Yoga is a more liberal path. Okay. Text 13-14, I will wrap up quickly and then we'll take questions. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitraha karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukha sukhakshami santushtaha satatam yogi yatatma drida nischayaha mayyarpita mano buddhir yo mad bhakta same priyaha.
One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
Thank you, Mayapur Prabhu. Mayapur Prabhu already passed his Bhakti Sastri, but he's still coming back again just to get the taste of the nectar of Gita. Thank you. Just for those who are wondering, I thought Mayapur Prabhu passed. No, yes, he did, but his taste is so intense that he wants to come back. Grateful. So from text 13-14 all the way till 20, Krishna describes the nature, qualities, and just the way his devotee acts and lives in this world. Text 15. Yasmanno dvijate loko lokanno dvijate chayaha harsha bayodvegair mukto ya sachame priyaha.
He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equiposed in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me.
Thank you. Text 16. Anapekshaha suchirdaksha udasino gatavyataha sarvaramba parityagi yo mad bhakta same priyaha.
My devotee, who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me.
So each of these purports, Srila Prabhupada explains what is meant by what is Krishna trying to say. Please understand that as much as the devotee is carefree, he takes a lot of anxiety for Krishna. It's a different thing, and he mentions that. For his own personal thing, he is very carefree. He is not worried about results. He is not caring about where do I live, what sort of thing I get. But for Krishna, I'm willing to give. It's a different perspective. Text 17. Yo na hrishyati na dveshti na shoshati na kankshati shubha shubha parityagi bhaktiman yasame priyaha.
One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such as a devotee. Such a devotee is very dear to me.
Thank you. So, Shubha, Ashubha, Parityagi is mentioned here. Means Shubha means something auspicious, and Ashubha means something, and Parityagi means one who gives up. This explanation is treated. What do you mean by giving up something auspicious? What do you mean by something? Okay, inauspicious, that everybody wants to give up. But auspicious, no. Here, the auspicious and inauspicious, Krishna is mentioning from a material perspective. Because from a material perspective, everything strictly speaking is inauspicious. If you deal matter and the sense enjoyment in that perspective, but the same matter if you take and deal it in relationship with Krishna, then that same matter becomes spiritual. If you take I'll tell you an example. A man is walking and he somehow comes across a golden cup. Now, in the ordinary course of activities, there have been a lot of books written and movies made about people somehow they stumble across some millions of dollars and There are thieves trying to steal them. They're in anxiety. They can't sleep at night. They don't know where to keep it. They keep under the bed, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, they shift it to their bathroom, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning, they shift it to somewhere. The point here is, when you take the same thing, same golden cup, from your perspective, it becomes a source of anxiety. But the same thing, oh, this is a gold cup. I don't need much, but maybe if Krishna drinks water out of his golden cup, that's beautiful. So let me give it, or let me at least use it in service of Krishna. Even if you have a deity in your home, not to use it for your own purpose, you offer it to the deity in your own home, the same golden cup becomes a source of happiness. So in the material world, is that gold cup auspicious or inauspicious? Auspicious, depending on how you look at it. Because, yay, Krishna is getting a golden cup. So from material perspective, we give up both so-called auspicious and inauspicious. Everything used in service of Krishna is auspicious, everything used in my service is inauspicious, from a material perspective. Because a man gets a golden cup, it's, auspicious, joyful, happy, whatever, profitable. From a material perspective, it's not. Shall I tell one more story from Mahabharata? I promise we won't. So the Pandavas, they get Khandava forest. So Pandu died. Who became the king? Dhritarashtra. He was ruling the entire kingdom. When the Pandus, when they became adults, so they had a right or claim to the kingdom because their father was the king in the first place, and Dhritarashtra was just a stopgap king. So Dhritarashtra said, "Oh, my son Duryodhana is there. What should I do? Let me divide up the kingdom into half." The most prosperous, he kept it for his son. And pretty much what he gave to Pandavas was barren land, desert, useless. There's nothing there. It was called Khandava forest. The Pandavas didn't complain. They took it. And within a short time, by Krishna's mercy, they built Indraprastha. It was so magnificent. That was just incredible. And Duryodhana was envious. So they cheated Pandavas. They knew that they couldn't fight a fair fight against Pandavas. So they cheated them through dice. And for the 12 years that they were in forest, Dhritarashtra, he says to Sanjaya, barely have been able to sleep. He calls Vidura, "What should I do? I'm not sleeping." And then Vidura once says, "O king, why are you not sleeping? Sleeplessness affects only 4 or 5 kinds of people. Those who are robbers, those who steal somebody's wealth." He gives 4 or 5 list of people. "O king, I hope you're not in one of those 5 classes or 4 classes of people. Then why are you not getting sleep?" The point is that in the material world, when you perform illegal activities, there is no question of happiness. And the best course of happiness, Krishna says, is to perform sacrifice for me, then you will be happy. Because the more you are absorbed in matter, the more your mind becomes away from Krishna and service of Krishna, and it gets more and more entangled of this world. And the more you are entangled from this world, you think you'll get liberation next time? No, again you have to take another body. So, I must confess there was a reason I told this story, and now I am forgetting why I told this story. Anyway, it will come back to me. What were we reading? Inauspicious and auspicious. Nah, it will come back to me. It will come back to me. I don't remember why I told that. Anyway, it will come back to me. We'll just keep continuing. Text 18 and 19. Sorry, please forgive me for that. Samaha shatrau cha mitre cha tata manapamanayoho sitoshna sukha dukkheshu samaha sangha vivarjitaha tulya nindastu tirmauni santushto yena kenachit Aniketaha sthiramatir bhaktiman me priyo naraha.
One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me.
This example from this verse is Pandavas. Everything that can be applied here, they endured. Let's go for that. One who is equal to friends and enemies. Yudhishthir actually was so equal. Later, when I'll use a little graphic example, but please bear with me. Later, after the Mahabharata war, who won Mahabharata war? Was Dhritarashtra alive or not? So after they won the Mahabharata war, Yudhishthir became the king of the world. Every day morning, he didn't take a whip and take to Dhritarashtra's chamber. Pshk, pshk, pshk. You caused me so much thing. In fact, every day he would go to Dhritarashtra and bow at his feet. He treated him exactly the same before and after the war. There was no change. He was, in fact, when Vidura convinced Dhritarashtra, why are you just, he used harsh words. Bhima was not. Bhima was not giving the same treatment to Dhritarashtra. Bhima was actually poking barbs at Dhritarashtra. You old man, now see, where are you? You gave us so much of trouble. Not like that, but he was using words to poke Dhritarashtra. But Yudhishthira was perfectly, the same person. In fact, he was. And when Vidura came, he said, oh brother, why are you living like this? You have become old, your teeth are going, you are throwing up mucus, you are barely able to, anyway you are spiritually blind, materially anyway you are blind, spiritually also you are blind. You are living like a dog at Bhima's, living like a pet dog of Bhima. What is your use of him? Dhritarashtra becomes convinced and he walks out of the palace without telling anybody. It's mentioned in Bhagavatam. And when Yudhishthir, next day, every day morning he would greet and offer respects to Dhritarashtra. One day morning he didn't see Dhritarashtra, Gandhari or Vidura in their chambers. He didn't do cartwheels, he didn't jump, say, yay! No, he was like crying, lamenting. Where did they go? And maybe I did something wrong. So it was the same person. So that's one thing, equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor. They had so many dishonor. Dishonor was like, they were humiliated in the assembly of Kauravas. Not only that, for 12 years they were in forest. And for the last 1 year, what was the condition? Incognito. Means they should disguise themselves in such a way that nobody could recognize them. If they are found out, then again 12 years. So for that last 1 year, please understand, it was not some joyride for them. It was not like those spy movies where they put on some disguises and thrills and chills. No, it was a painful situation. The reason was that all through their life, they were princesses. In those days, Kshatriyas would never serve anybody. It was a job of Shudras. But in 1 year of incognito, it was a very painful thing when they discuss in Mahabharata, the 12th year, when the Pandavas come together, okay, now the time of incognito is coming, what should we do? And the first thing, they feel bad for each other. Especially Draupadi feels very bad for her husband. These are princesses who have born in a very, very royal heritage. Now they have to become servants for somebody. Imagine Bhima being a cook, cleaning pots and vessels in the kingdom of Virat. And Nakula and Sahadev tending horses and cows respectively. And Arjuna's situation was even more pathetic. He was Brihanala, half man, half woman. Here was the most powerful, fearsome warrior on the planet who could single-handedly destroy the Danavas and the demigods. He was living like actually a woman. Braided hair, long bangles. He put all the bangles all over his body. You know why? Not because he liked to, but they had to cover the marks of Gandiva bow here. Otherwise people would know that this person is a bowman. So he had to cover bangles and he had to braid his hair, put on fine silks and gaudy dresses. And very painful. And then they had to live like that for 1 year. And not only that, Draupadi was the maid servant of the queen of Virata, and then she was abused and humiliated and molested again by Kichaka. So it was a very painful situation, but they had complete faith in Krishna. They never questioned, oh Krishna, why did you do this to us? They did say that, they asked, but not in a way, in an offensive way. So they were very, they were like equipoised. They never felt, they felt sad, but that didn't like break their thing. That's another thing about spiritual life. It doesn't mean you become a stone. Spiritual life doesn't mean that, somebody is drowning somewhere else. It's body, who cares? Body is going, let's walk off. Or the house is burning somewhere, or there is an accident on the road, or somebody is bleeding. You totally show compassion. Not that you become callous like a stone. So spiritual life and lack of feelings they are not like, mutually exclusive kind of thing. So the Pandavas are highly advanced devotees, but they were having feelings of compassion, they had feelings, they were not stone. So honor and dishonor, heat and cold. Cold, they were living in forests. They were sleeping under trees. They were wearing deer skins. Summer, winter, they had to bear in forest. That was not much. From the royal palaces that they were so used to, it was a hard living for them, but they still maintained it. Happiness, distress, a lot of it they got through. Fame and infamy. At one point, Yudhishthira had performed Rajasuya sacrifice. He was the emperor of the whole world. And within few short months, he and his brothers were living in forest, not knowing what they will eat. So they experienced both. Who's always free from contaminating association. So here is the beauty. How many people did go to forest with the Pandavas? How many, in total, how many Pandavas who went to forest? Kunti, did she go to forest? No. Arjun? Yes. Bhima? Yes. Nakula? Sahadeva? Yes. Yudhishthir? Yes. Kunti? Yes. Draupadi? Yes. How many? 6. Actually, no. There were hundreds of people with Yudhishthir. All the Brahmins who were in Hastinapur, they said, we will go with you, O king. And Yudhishthir, when he was in forest, his biggest grief was that, not I am in forest. He was like, you Brahmins, why are you coming with me? I have nothing to eat. What can I feed you? He was not saying like that. He was saying, oh Brahmanas, please don't come with me. I have nothing to give you. And you stay here in Hastinapur. Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra will feed you. They will give you gold. They will give you so much. We don't have much. And the Brahmanas, actually, they were saying, O king, we'll go with you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you give or not give. We are forest dwellers. We know how to maintain ourselves. You don't even have to worry about our own maintenance. But even in the forest, King Yudhishthir and his brothers were surrounded by hundreds of Brahmins. What was supposed to be their lonely time, depressing time in forest was actually a blissful time for them, because they were reading from scriptures, they were reading Vedas, they were discussing so many wonderful esoteric topics. Daily Krishna Katha was going on in forest. It was like really like an excursion for the Pandavas. They were having forest foods and forest dwelling, and then in the evening they would have awesome discussions about the scriptures along with these experienced Brahmins. And they were getting wiser by the day. And they were relishing and enjoying those discussions, because Yudhishthir and his brothers, they were very, very naturally pious and spiritually inclined. So even in the forest, their association was pure. And they kept like association of sages and saints in the forest. So that's why Duryodhana had a false prestige, false pride. Those Pandavas, 12 years in forest, they have no wealth. They have no relationships. They have no connections. I have an army so powerful, they cannot defeat me. It was a false sense. And then Bhishma, Drona, and Kripa, they were telling, oh, fool Duryodhana, you have no idea. They are in forest, but they are getting blessings from all sorts of saints and demigods for their success and power. You have no pious credits whatsoever. So even in the forest, they kept such nice association. And then, because Yudhishthir, actually, how did the Akshaya Patra come about that we discussed earlier? It came about from Yudhishthir's lamentation of not being able to feed the Brahmanas. As an emperor of the world, hundreds of thousands of Brahmanas would be fed every day at his at his kitchen, because he had that facility, and he would provide for the meals for all the Brahmins. That was the Kshatriya's dharma in those days. He said, all these Brahmins have come with me to the forest, having faith in me, and in this place in forest I can't even feed them. How sinful and how wretched I am. Loss of kingdom didn't hurt him as much as his distress at not feeding the Brahmins who came with him. And then they said, okay, worship the sun god. Some sages said, you worship the sun god. For 3 days and for 3 nights, he stood in the river. He didn't sleep, he didn't eat, he didn't drink, nothing. He was just praying to the sun god. At the end of the 3rd day, the sun god comes and says, okay, Yudhishthir, I understand your problem. Here is your Akshaya Patra. So that's how Akshaya Patra came about, not because they needed some food. So their association in forest, they were really having sectarian discussions every day. So many sages would come and greet them. Vyasdev would come, Markandeya Rishi would come. So many sages would come and they would have wonderful discussions in the forest. It was a perfect time. Yudhishthir had no responsibility of state kingdom, nothing. So even in the forest, they were happy discussing spiritual life. Of course, as a Kshatriya, their humiliation burnt at their heart, especially Bhima's. But it was not like their life in forest was like, Always silent, satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, and who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is dear to me. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, please read, we'll quickly go through. Text 20, kindly repeat after me. Ye tu dharmamritam idam yatoktam paryupasate Shraddadana matparama bhaktastetiva me priyaha.
Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
Thank you. That's excellent purport by Srila Prabhupada. Please take time to read it. So any questions? We definitely will do some portion of the 13th before we go. Questions, comments? Yes, Sharmaji.
Prabhu, you mentioned about auspicious and inauspiciousness. In spiritual life, there is no inauspiciousness. But sometimes we do take advantage of some, good timing. Is this good to do, or, just wanted to have your thought on that side.
Excellent question. Because somebody else also asked me yesterday. Because the question somebody asked me yesterday was, what about these, shagun, upshagun kind of things? In India, for those who are from India, if you hear that if you go out in the morning to work or to business and a black cat passes on your way, come back home or don't go. If you are just about to go on a journey and you sneeze, then sit back, relax, and let the flight go by. No, just kidding. Or something like that. One other thing I heard was that if too many crows come to your house, then guests are coming. That's pretty insulting to the guests, I guess. Depending on how you take that statement. And people ask me, what do you think of that? My question is, omens enough in themselves, they are not to be disregarded, because there is enough evidence in Bhagavatam. In fact, in Mahabharata and in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see in the first canto of Bhagavatam, Maharaj Yudhishthir, he experiences a lot of omens when Arjuna has not returned. Arjuna went to Dwarka to see Krishna and his associates. And it's been 7 months since he didn't come, and Yudhishthir sees a lot of bad omens. And it's very vividly described in Bhagavatam. Jackals, they are spewing out fire, and then the cows are passing on to the left side. There are so many things. Donkeys are there are so many omens out there. And even in Mahabharata, there are many, many omens that is mentioned. Some of the omens it's mentioned in Mahabharata is that sky is raining blood, then there is rain with no clouds at all, just cloudless sky, just giving rains. And there are so many omens. Now, so if omens are there, we cannot obviously disregard them. It means nothing. Bhagavatam says there is something, and the omens are experienced not by like ordinary people, but by devotees. So it means something, yes or yes. But how do we take it? There are 2 or 3 fold problems to that. One thing is, we cannot really observe omens these days. Because in those days, something inauspicious happened means there were omens. Kali Yuga every day is inauspicious. So the omens also can become plastic. Seriously, think about it. Earthquake we have in California, 4.0 Richter, it's okay, we'll deal with it later. Or drought for 4 years. Nobody's panicking, it's become common. So my point here is, even the omens in the modern days, we can't read them. We are not having that fine insight into Vedic knowledge to read the omens, or to at least observe the omens. After observing, to interpret and to give the correct omens, that's another thing. I'll give another example. Now, Pandavas were born first, before the Kauravas. And Gandhari, she felt jealous that her co-sisters had children and she didn't. And so they invited Vyasadev, and then there is a big story. And the first time, and the first part, it was a test, all the 100 Kauravas, 100 Kaurava brothers and 1 sister were actually test tube babies. Means that they were actually born in a pot tube babies or whatever, pot babies or whatever you want to call it. Pot is a not California wrong word, but anyway, they were born in test tube. So as soon as Duryodhana was born, there were certain omens. And the jackals were howling, and it was a very, very bad omens. Vidura said to Dhritarashtra, these omens indicate that this child is going to be the cause of destruction of your entire race. The whole Kuru will be destroyed because of this child. O king, please give him up. Abandon him, reject him, because this child is going to destroy your race. Now, the point is, Vidura observed those omens. He was knowledgeable enough to interpret and give the right predictions about those omens. In the modern age, my confusion is, we don't have that. So how much should we place that faith? For those who are not perfect at doing, either not omens, astrology, Vastu, so many things are there that we don't have an experts who can really give. So, we should take advantage of it, but at the same time, we should have a thoroughly reliable source to take advantage of. A knowledgeable person, a person who's able to give. People come and ask me about Vastu. I said, I don't know about Vastu. Oh, what about this person? He knows Vastu. Well, my question is, did he learn Vastu from his guru? And that guru is knowledgeable enough, or did you read a book and become a Vastu expert? Just like I read Bhagavad Gita and come here teach Bhakti Sastri. People will kick me out. The whole idea is that you read the Bhagavad Gita by serving under a guru and by understanding in a proper disciplic succession, then you can be able to tell something and be able to explain something. Same is the case with Vastu, because these are all Vedic sciences. All these omens and Vastu, astrology, palmistry, physiognomy, all these are Vedic sciences, but you need a very, very fine line of disciplic succession with foolproof teachers to read and interpret. Otherwise, there will be so many people telling you so many things and you will be confused. And the biggest danger of that confusion is your spiritual life gets affected. Oh my God, what is this happening? I'm chanting Hare Krishna and then have faith in Hare Krishna for now, that's important, rather than having faith in so many other things. So, but you have faith in that, then there's no harm in getting, in ISKCON there are some astrologers and some Vastu experts, I believe, if you find them. If you have faith, then you should use them, but if you don't, or if you are unable to, no harm. That's where I take a stand at. Yes, Shamarupa Prabhu, you had something to add. Anybody has something to add, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I was just thinking that it's so nice that today, being just one day before, in fact in India it's already started, Srimati Radharani's appearance day, that we are discussing the chapter of devotional service, and Radharani is the giver of devotional service. And in this chapter, one thing that struck me is, in addition to Krishna discussing devotional service, is at length discussing the qualities of the devotees that they should strive for. For example, Samo Satra, like Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada, one is equal to friends, which seem so actually difficult to actually gather those qualities. And Pandavas is a perfect example, but it's very difficult. It looks like a very high and difficult milestone to achieve. So what's your thoughts on that?
Thank you, sir. You just I'm just going through Srila Prabhupada's purport, where he acknowledges what you said, where he said that to come to that stage, it's not. Anyway, I'm not able to get that exact line, but Srila Prabhupada acknowledges that that it is difficult. It is rare to come to that standard, but he mentions in the purport to the 19th verse where he says, by performing devotional service, you will come to that standard. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahatmana. The verse is Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavatiya Kinchana, which means that one who performs unmotivated devotional service to the Supreme Lord, automatically all the good qualities of the demigods come about in him. So our hope, Shamarupa Prabhu, is to stick to this path, no matter what, no matter how sinful and how fallen I think I am, but I'm not going to give up this path, because this is the only hope, this is the only true path that I can, aspire for in this age of Kali. So at least having that determination, it's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. The other difficulty in that path is that devotee never thinks he is perfect. In fact, on the contrary, he thinks he is the most fallen. So combining these two aspects of the devotional service, it's hard to kind of come to know a devotee who's actually on that platform. But nevertheless, by sticking to the path of devotion, it's just a matter of time. Krishna will slowly help. Undoubtedly. Guaranteed. This is the only path that is guaranteed. All right, more questions. Mayapur Prabhu and then Aditya.
Prabhuji, from verse 9 onwards, Krishna gives the various paths to follow if we cannot achieve the highest. I've always had this confusion, Prabhu, and please clarify if my understanding is correct. Dhyan Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, or Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Like, if I give Lakshmi to Krishna with the intention that I'll give something, so I'll get more or better, then it becomes Karma Yoga. But if I give Lakshmi to Krishna with the intention that, this is for Krishna in the service, it becomes Bhakti Yoga, or it still remains Karma Yoga?
Excellent. So in Karma Yoga, there are two forms of Karma Yoga. One form is called Sakam Karma, and then the second yoga is called Nishkam Karma. In the Sakam Karma, then what is the goal? Is that I worship the Lord for some material benefit. And that's what you mentioned. Give something to Krishna, I'll get more back. And in the Nishkam Karma Yoga is, I'll give something to Krishna, but I'm not expecting anything back. That is good. the difference between that Nishkam, thank you, Mataji. The difference between the Nishkam Karma and Bhakti Yoga is, in Nishkam Karma Yoga, I'll do my thing, and whatever results come, I give to Krishna. In Bhakti Yoga is, I'll do whatever Krishna wants. So in Nishkam Karma Yoga, I'm just a lawyer. My identity is I'm a lawyer, or I'm a businessman, or I'm a housewife, I'm a doctor, whatever. And that's my goal. And whatever money I get out of it, I'll give it to Krishna. So that is like, you are there, I'm here, take care. Not much of relationship. So that's the difference. Does a little bit answer?
Yeah, Prabhu, but I mean, just on that, what
Yes.
is it? I mean, whether a person who is a pujari, who is, worshipping the deity right in front of the altar, or a person who's sitting in the home and, giving up his hard-earned income, one is doing Bhakti Yoga and another is doing Nishkam Karma Yoga. That is something, I find it a little, because, both are doing as per their skills. Probably, one is good on the office, but at the same time, Lakshmi is required, for running the temple and doing the devotional activity. And the, pujar is also required in the same way. But then, why is one called Bhakti Yoga and one called Nishkam Karma Yoga?
Because in the Nishkam Karma Yoga, you are not doing it for Krishna. So the identity doesn't, that relationship with Krishna doesn't come about in the true sense of service. It is just, you are different, I am different. I'm just doing it, out of, I'm expecting nothing, but I'm doing it. Also, one thing Mayapur Prabhu is that all these yogas are not exclusive. Means one circle Karma Yoga, another circle Bhakti Yoga. There is always an overlap. So, and the Bhakti Yoga actually encompasses all the yogas. Without Bhakti Yoga, it is mentioned that all the other yogas are not successful. So even if one is Karma Yogi, he may be doing some Bhakti on the side, at least worship. So he is a businessman, not much, but he keeps a home and worships, gives some Aarti and all thing. That is Bhakti. But the Bhakti portion is less and the Karma portion is more. In Bhakti Yoga, the Bhakti is more, Karma is less.
So probably similar in Gyan Yoga. So in fact, a person who's just, before that, meditation, if you are just meditating on void or something, and if you are otherwise meditating on Krishna, does it mean one is Bhakti Yoga and other is not?
So, I'll just rephrase your question. Because in Jnana Yoga, the object is not meditation. The object is to acquire knowledge, right? So Krishna says in the 3rd and 4th chapters, you perform sacrifice. Householders give objects, and then the brahmacharis, they do the sense control. And the object of all these sacrifices is knowledge, Krishna says. But the best way to get knowledge, he says, tadvidhi pranipatena. So in Jnana Yoga, the object is knowledge, transcendental knowledge, but the knowledge of self. That I am not this material body. So that is jnana. And meditation is never on void in dhyana yoga stage. It's always on, because once you get jnana, you reach Brahman, the jnana, you go to Paramatma. There's no question of void meditation. That is Buddhistic kind of philosophy.
So then what is the difference? Dhyana yoga and bhakti yoga. Even in dhyana yoga, if person is meditating on the Supreme, or pujari who is actually doing the deity worship, what is the difference then?
A, first depends on their consciousness. B, why they are doing. C, if they identify themselves as servant of Krishna, then they do the activities in Bhakti Yoga which are pleasing to Krishna. But in Dhyana Yoga, the meditation, there is no service. I am Shantaras. Means I meditate on the Supreme Lord, meditate on His pastimes. There is not much personal service involved. Either of those, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, there is no, all those things are not there in Shanta. That is Dhyana Yoga, meditation which you are saying. So everybody has their own relationship with Krishna and they are happy in that relationship. They are perfect in that relationship. And it's not like, I'm Dasya, he is Shanta. It's not like that. Because Shanta feels this is my perfect relationship with the Lord. So is Dasya. So that relationship of the Lord comes only in Bhakti. The other forms is that either, okay, God is great, I am dependent on him, so I'll give something. Or, maybe God is Brahman, I have to meditate on him, or I have to know about him. It is the direct service is Bhakti Yoga. That when that matter of service comes, an active, and the other word is not stoppable, unceasing service. That is Bhakti Yoga. A businessman may do some puja in the house. When the puja is done for 5 minutes, and then he's back into his normal course of activities with no relationship with God. The identity completely changes to my family, my job, my thing, and the God is not there. But Krishna says, always think of me, always fix your mind on me. That is Bhakti Yoga. Sorry for the long answer. Is that okay?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Balaram, welcome. Okay, Aditya and then Jaikanai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Out of the three transcendentalists, the Gyanis, the Yogis and Bhaktis, the Gyanis, the final destination is Brahman, and that of the Bhakti is that to go back and back to Godhead. So, what is the destination of those the Yogis who meditate on the Supreme Lord in the heart? So, what is the destination? Is it like Prabhupada mentions in the purport that's like one starts with the stage of knowledge or Gyan, then goes into yoga, then goes into meditation, and then into the understanding the super soul, and then finally to Bhakti. So, is it part of the it's like a stepping stone that goes, or?
Depends. Most of the cases it is, but in some cases, the ultimate realization of bhakti happens through mercy of devotees. Through the other paths are something which are on my own effort. So a yogi goes, I control strenuously my mind, I read this, I do that, but it's all about me. But when it comes to the relationship with Krishna, then that transformation from me to him happens because of the mercy of a pure devotee. So the Kumaras, they were absorbed in thoughts of Paramatma, but by mercy of Shiva, they got attracted to the personal form of the Lord. And they were rushing to Vaikuntha to meet the Lord in their designer clothes.
But is there some specific destination for the Paramatma?
So there is a region called I forget it. There is a region of peace, and some words are used. I'll look it up. That's the destination of the Paramatma. Those who attain Paramatma realization. They reach that stage.
Is it in the Bhagavatam?
It's there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah. So they reach a particular planet where they have a Shantaras, because everywhere, every ras has its own place where you can exhibit that ras. Right? So if you are intimately related to Krishna and you are serving Krishna in a parental way, you are really not in Vaikuntha. The source or the natural place of where you want to be is Golok. And that's how Gopakumar traverses in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. He goes through these different places until he comes to Golok Vrindavan, his heart is not completely satisfied.
One last question. So the Ashtanga Yogis, are they essentially Paramatmavadis? I mean the successful Ashtanga Yogis?
Yes, sir. That's what Krishna says in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Jaikanai Prabhu.
Yeah, my question kind of got answered already by Aditya Prabhu's question. I was also asking that is it a progression that you start at one place and then you ultimately, basically, because you are not satisfied, you keep moving up. Or Shantarasa is basically, those, they are satisfied in themselves. I mean, they stay there.
Shantarasa is not satisfied in themselves. Ras is always a relationship with God. So their whole idea of Shantaras is meditation and glorification of the Lord without having a personal and direct service to Krishna.
But they stay there, Roy. I mean, for them, they feel completely satisfied.
That's it. This is our position.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. It is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, in the introduction to Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada writes that there are 5 kinds of relationships with Krishna. But the beauty is that the person in each of the relationship thinks that my relationship is perfect. But he says, if you impartially assess all these relationships, then Madhurya Ras is the highest. That doesn't mean everybody should aspire for it, because our natural position can be something different than Madhurya Ras. So, but when you actually reach there, you forget that. You just are so happy with where you are, with what your service to Krishna is, because the cowherd boys don't want to be like gopis, and the gopis don't want to be like. There is a whole order to things there. All right, more questions? At least let's do 2 verses of the 13. Or the another choice. Okay, I think we'll take a vote, because I see there are some faces really tired. We have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we have 6 chapters, and the 18th is 78 verses, which means there needs to be at least 2 classes, or 1 big class of 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, with a break in between, of course. So, how do you want to go about? My apologies, I sent a class on October 7th, that's a Wednesday. Please note that there is no class, it was a mistake, and I am to be blamed for that mistake. No bats or tomatoes, I didn't get my protective gear, but any other form, words are fine. So we need potentially 7, but at least minimum 6 classes to complete. So do you want that I start a little early at around 1:30, and then we can catch up the pace and keep the dates as it is? Or do you want something else? Please let me know. And then, because I don't want to because this is 4 now, I don't want to do the 13th now. It will be too much. And then there is also the Sunday Feast lecture, which is going to start in 15-20 minutes by a totally useless person. So, what do you want? I leave it up to you. Any thoughts, any suggestions? 1:30 is fine? Okay, that will give enough time. We'll complete at 4 sharp. So from 1:30 to 2:45 or something like that, and then we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we can continue. So I will reformat the classes, and I'll send the final list of the classes. October 11th, there is a potential for a class on October 11th, but it's a long weekend for some. So I'm not sure if people are in town or things like that. I think only few people have October 12th as holiday. I don't know what is the holiday on October 12th. So we'll have 6 classes then, not 7. So that will make it easier between now and December 6th. We'll keep the exam on December 6th. Please read and don't panic about the exam. Write the homework, and you should be good for 30 marks. We'll have still 30 marks, and then 70 marks in the exam. I'll keep the exam as fun as I can. Any questions? Any questions on exams? Any questions? Any concerns? Few of the devotees did raise their concerns. Some of them are going to India around the December 6th time, and they asked me how to take the exam. We will do, I think we'll try to work around, but the exam date will be fixed. December 6th will be the date. We are not going to postpone it, because many devotees will have holidays after that, and then there is a book marathon going on. Then few of the devotees are going to India. It's just not worth it. December 6th is December 6th. So we'll keep it simple. What else? What are the concerns? So 6 more classes after this, right? Somehow or other we should complete. Or if you think that you can read at home, and I don't need to give class for the 18th chapter, I'm more than happy to do that. No, I really mean it. I mean, we can quickly meet for, it's completely up. In the way you want to do it, I'll do it. You say, Prabhu, you know what, 18th chapter, that's fine, we'll study on our own. I don't want you to take classes. We have been looking at your old face for a long time now. We need a break. I'll more than agree with that statement. And any other concerns apart from that? We'll start at 1:30 then. All the classes, 6 classes, will start at 1:30. So that will give us enough time. Any concerns on that? You're good? Anybody online? I forgot to ask, any concerns, any questions? Please press *6, right? *6, and then you can unmute, and then you can ask questions. You're so nice people. You came here and tolerated 2 hours. Everybody's sleeping there on the online. Happy. It's 100 plus. It's nice, actually. In that sense, it's nice. At least they get some rest and back to their services. Nah, I'm just joking. I love the online devotees also. Actually, I don't blame them if that happens. All right then, we stop here today. Thank you so very much. Vancha kalpa tarobhyascha. For those devotees who just came, we'll have a class, the Sunday Feast lecture, in about 10-15 minutes or so. So please don't think that there is no Sunday Feast lecture. It's over. No, we are going to have it. It's like people might come and say, okay, this is over. They're supposed to start at 4. Or what is this?